Hey TikTok, we've got great news out of Norway today. There was a verdict handed down and the state has been acquitted, and the Watchtower Corporation, Jehovah's Witnesses, will have to pay all the state's legal fees and their own legal fees. And we know all that money comes from rank and file Jehovah's Witnesses pockets through their donations and their free labor. So Jehovah's Witnesses will never hear about that, but if you do hear, just know that's your money they're spending. An interesting point was brought out in one of the Vartland articles, and it was by one of the ex-witnesses that testified. And they pointed out that this wasn't just about money. Well, it was about money and the fact that the state wasn't going to subsidize Jehovah's Witnesses anymore. The reality is that this is more about their reputation. Jehovah's Witnesses will fight in court to the bitter end. They will appeal and appeal in an attempt never to lose. Greg from our channel is dealing with the Privacy Commission in British Columbia here in Canada, and in a similar way, they continue to appeal every time, just over something as meaningless as handing over his personal records. And that is because the Jehovah's Witnesses feel that no one is entitled to tell them what to do. The government isn't entitled to tell them what to do. And they'll say this is persecution. This is Satan persecuting them by trying to make them fall in line with just basic human rights. This case in Norway was about human rights. It was about children's rights not to be excluded or disfellowshipped or shunned, I guess is what we would say. And that's why they're not allowed to have state funding and subsidies because of it. And let's remember a really important part. Jehovah's Witnesses are allowed to continue worshiping. They're allowed to keep their kingdom halls. They're allowed to preach and do whatever it is they want to do in Norway. All of that is fine. The only thing that changes is they won't get a check from the government, and they're not allowed to perform the legal part of the marriage in their kingdom hall, even though they can have the wedding and everything else. They just have to do the legal documents elsewhere. So they're losing nothing. They're not being persecuted. They are pretending like they are. And anytime a government steps in, especially when it has to do with one of their doctrines, and in many cases it's the shunning doctrine, then they claim persecution and their members believe it. So if anybody asks you about it, just make sure you tell them that. I also wanted to say a big thank you to Ron Pomo on Twitter, Jan Frode Nielsen for sharing all the Vartland articles, for getting the translations done for those of us that speak English. We really appreciate that. And we would also like to thank Jan and all of the other ex-Jehovah's Witnesses who testified in our behalf, in essence, all of those of us that are being shunned and don't have a voice, and who Watchtower tries their best to make feel small. We're with you. We thank you. We know it took an immense emotional and personal toll on you, and we can't imagine what that must feel like, but we appreciate it so much, and we want to send out our thanks and our love to all of you. So cheers, and let's hope this is one step towards many steps in different countries around the world.